Hello, in this video I'm going to cover the RDS blueprint with BoltOps Pro. This blueprint is essentially a CloudFormation template that's going to allow you to provision a number of different databases: MySQL, Postgres, MariaDB, Microsoft SQL Server, and Oracle. And today we're going to cover specifically Oracle. If you're also looking for maybe Aurora databases, there's a Aurora blueprint also, and there's also a Aurora serverless blueprint if you want to do less kind of management of the database there. The default database is MySQL. So we're going to have to override some of these parameters here. And what this is saying is all of the RDS instance properties are essentially configurable via parameters. Additionally, some properties are also configurable via variables. The blueprint is quite flexible, so you could tailor it to fit your needs. Storage is encrypted by default. And this is kind of important. If you already have a DB subnet group, an existing one, then you can go ahead and use that to tell RDS where to place your database instance into. Otherwise, you could provide it with subnet IDs here in this parameter DB subnets, and then the CloudFormation template is can essentially create a managed DB subnet group for you using those subnet IDs. You can also optionally create a managed Route 53 record that then points to the database endpoint. I like to do this because the database endpoint that's created by RDS is random. And sometimes having a human readable endpoint is useful. If you're going to use Route 53, I would suggest using a private internal Route 53 record here instead of a public one. We're actually working with the database, right? So it makes sense to use a private one. Usage is pretty straightforward. You just add the blueprint to your gem file. You configure some config values under configs RDS here, and then you deploy the blueprint. Here are the instructions to add. Here are the instructions to configure. And here are the instructions to deploy. Now, I want to focus in a little bit on this section here. Compatible parameters and variables. So with different RDS engines, they take different parameters or properties, and they have to be compatible. You can't, for instance, use a DB parameter group family here of MySQL 8.0 with Oracle. It just doesn't make sense. It won't work, and it will roll back. The stack will roll back. So this table kind of has some test values here for you that will actually work. I've tested them all. And we're going to focus in Oracle, so we're going to use Oracle Standard Edition 2 here with this engine version, this parameter group, and this instance class. Not all parameters will work, right? Like, for instance, I'm using this instance class, DB instance class here, because the smaller DB T3 micro won't work for Oracle. So this table is actually quite important to study, and make sure you kind of use either these values or at least start with these values just to make sure your database gets provisioned properly. Otherwise, it will roll back. And typically, databases here take about 15 minutes to provision. So you definitely want to at least start with the baseline, make sure you're up and running, and then go tweak it as needed. Here is some information about using custom VPC. If you have existing VPC, it's not an issue. You just essentially plug in your VPC ID values here, and then the database is going to be provisioned onto that VPC. It is recommended that you use a private data subnet. I am going to be using the reference architecture of BoltOps Pro, which creates a VPC that has a private data subnet that we'll be using. Security groups. You can use existing security group if you want to, or you could just basically not set this, and then it's going to provision a managed security group for you, and then you can use that instead. Here is some information about how you set up and configure Route 53 DNS pretty endpoint. Here's some advanced property customizations, some information about creating replicas, and finally, DB parameter group and option groups. Different database engines have different options that you can add on. So if the database supports it, then you could essentially add on the parameter groups in a codified way with essentially variables. Last is considerations. RDS databases, or if you're using CloudFormation with it, there is a caveat. If you're essentially updating a property that requires replacement, CloudFormation is going to create a new database and essentially swap the new one for the old one, so then you will lose your data. So that's a big caveat there. One way to get around this and provide a guardrail is to set the DB instance identifier parameter. If you set that, what CloudFormation is going to do is it's going to try to start a new database with the same identifier. It's not going to be able to, and then it immediately rollbacks. So that provides a nice guardrail for you. Right? It depends on what you're trying to do. If you're just doing these development databases, then this should just be fine. But this is one way to provide a guardrail. Okay, so I've essentially covered the entire README. So we can go ahead and jump into the demo now. to jump in demo, I should grab the gem command I need to add, or the line of code I need to add here. So basically, that's how you add the blueprint to this Lono project. But you can see up here, I have kind of like a handy blueprint method. So I'm going to use that instead because I think it looks prettier. Then you go in here and you just run bundle. Okay, now we're ready to configure the parameters. There is a helpful command called Lono seed that makes this very quick and easy. I'm going to run it for both development and production here. So I'm configuring both databases at the same time for both essentially environments. And I've kind of set up this in the multiple account strategy here, but you could use it in the same account or multiple accounts. It doesn't really matter. So here are the parameters that were generated from the Lono seed command. I'm going to put them kind of side by side, I guess. And then I'm just going to go through and update them. The thing I'm going to kind of use is this table. This table is important here. It has all the values that have been already tested. And I'm going to start with the engine, I guess. So the default value is MySQL. I'm replacing that with Oracle. Go up here, replace MySQL with Oracle. Now let's go grab an engine version that works. So here's one. And we can go here. I'm setting both basically production and development at the same time here. Now the parameter group family. And that's actually down here. Let's go down here. See, these parameters actually are associated with this resource, the DB instance, and this parameter is associated with this DB parameter group down here, which right now by default is MySQL, which is not what we want. We want Oracle in this case. Go ahead and provision or set the Oracle one for both development and production. And the last, or no, two more, at least from this table, the DB instance class. So DBT3 micro won't work for Oracle. A large will, so we're gonna have to use that one. So I'm gonna set that. Okay, so that's good. And then lastly, license included. So this license model with Oracle, there are different license models. You might already have a license for Oracle. If you do, then you want to use bring your own license kind of the model. But I'm going to actually use the model that's kind of included with AWS here. And to find that, it's actually right here. I have to uncomment it out because most of the other database engines do not require this. But this one does. So we're going to go ahead and set this. Oops. Yeah, there we go. Okay. Move this up here. Okay, so that's looking pretty good. All right. There are some other parameter values here that are actually required. I just focus on this table because this table, you have to have compatible values or else the stack's going to go back. Very important there. There are a couple other parameters here, DB subnet group name. I covered that at the beginning. Essentially, you have to either use this one or use the subnet IDs. You use one of either, okay? And then you set the one that you're not using to a blank string. So I'm going to go ahead and use the DB subnet group name from the reference architecture VPC here. You just go to the CloudFormation output, and then you grab, let's kind of do this with it. Okay, private DB subnet group right here. And again, if you're not using reference architecture, not a big deal. You create your own DB subnet group name, or you just provide the subnet IDs down here, and it'll kind of create a managed one for you. I'm going to use the one that's existing there. So that's for development. Let's go ahead and do it for production now also. Okay, VPC, then you go to outputs. And same deal, we just grab the private DB subnet group here for production this time though, and replace the example value. Okay, and then we go down here, and then you gotta replace this with blank string. There's one more required parameter here, is with the VPC ID. So we gotta replace the example value. So I'm on production, so I'm gonna grab the production one first, and I'm gonna go back to the development and adjust that. So there is production, and let's go back and check development. Okie dokie. Moving along here. There we go. VPC for development. So let's go to development and check this because I'm pretty sure I didn't set it. Yep, not yet. Okay. Now I'm just going to review everything just to make sure the parameters look good before I launch these database instances here. So we've kind of set everything. The only thing I didn't really set was the password and username. I'm just going to leave at the example values because it's just a demo. But you probably want to use more proper values, more secure values. That's all set there. Okay. So now we're ready to grab the deploy commands. So where is the deploy commands? Where are the deploy commands? They are right here. So I'm going to intentionally kind of not grab this second no wait here, because the no wait flag, what it does is it basically returns right away. And for the production one, I don't want it to return right away. I want it to kind of pull CloudFormation status. So I'm pasting both commands here. The first command ran lono development, lono CFN deploy RDS. And then the second one is about to run if I hit enter here, but I'm not using the no wait option. So this time it's actually not return right away, but it's going to pull for CloudFormation status updates here, which is what it's doing right now. So I launched basically both I configured both databases for in development and in production. And I launched them both to essentially actually separate AWS accounts here. So let's go ahead and take a look now at the created stacks. Now, if I refresh here, it should show RDS, create in progress. There it goes. Okay. That's for development there. And production should show a similar stack. Switching the production count, there's create in progress for RDS. So there it goes. This is going to take some time. RDS databases take sometimes 15 minutes or so to create, usually around there. So I'm going to pause this video so I don't have to wait. Okay, the database finished provisioning. It took actually about 25 minutes on Oracle here. Let's also confirm it here. You could go to the AWS console, and I just click refresh here, and that's going to go from create in progress to create complete. Let's also see whether or not the development database finished. We'll find out right now. Let's go click on that. And yeah, that finished also, so that's nice. Let's see how long that one took. This started at 59, and this ended at 24, so also about 25 minutes, so near the same time there. Okay, and for good measure, we're going to go to the RDS console and confirm that this is our Oracle database, and everything finished creating. Once this loads. Okay, there we go. Okay, so here's the instance, Oracle Standard Edition 2. So that's just the edition I happen to use. There's the DB size right there. You can click on this to get more information about the Oracle database. It was deployed to the development VPC because I'm development account here with here are the subnets and everything. Let's go ahead and switch over to the production account and confirm that also. It's just loading. There we go. Oracle Standard Edition 2, also DB3, DBT3X large instance, and you can see this is was provisioned within the production VPC here with the existing DB parameter group we configured. Okay, so let's go and review. So we use this RDS blueprint, which is essentially a CloudFormation template that allows you to provision a number of different databases. In this video, we provision Oracle database, and the important key thing was to make sure that these parameters that you're using are compatible. You have to use all the Oracle ones that are compatible there. There is a link here that actually talks about different DB class supports that support it for the RDS here. So hopefully you found this video helpful. Cheers.